Good morning and welcome back to Gaming with ADHD, where today we are going to continue our read through of the Alternity Game Master Guide. Now, this is starting week 2 of this read through, and we're going to be on chapter 4, starting with chapter 4 and hopefully getting through chapter 5. We're doing skills, perks, and flaws today. So a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. Number one, apologies for not being able to do Battletech Gothic yesterday. My co-host was out sick. I woke up late and I had projects to get done. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to do any kind of a makeup there. But that's not a problem. We will pick up next Monday hopefully without any issues. With that said, there will be an interruption in the series because right now there is a greater than 50% chance that I am going to be going to Ireland next week. And so that will interrupt when I can do some more streams. So if I get to go, we'll be leaving Wednesday-ish. We'll be back the following Wednesday. And so obviously anything in those times would be heavily interrupted. I might try to do some stuff from the road, but unfortunately it is not a guarantee. So do not plan for that, unfortunately. But as I said, we will get that figured out. And Malachi, I am not going to England. I specifically said Ireland. Jeez, man. No, we will. Like I said, I will keep everyone posted if we go. Obviously, I will let everyone know. But we'll have at least a couple of days of streams next week, anyways. So it won't be a complete loss, I promise. Now, in addition, tonight we should be back. Well, of course, that'll actually impact Batman because Kim and I should be here tonight. But obviously, then the following week we will have some interruption and not be able to cover it the following week. So again, just kind of playing it by ear. This came up a bit of a surprise. So needless to say, we will adjust as needed. So anyhow, I guess with that said, yeah, I think everything else should be fine. Second channel is going to be interesting because I'm going to hopefully just get the rest of the rest of February recorded for reading wikis for you. I have pretty much everything planned. So we'll see. Anyways, the next week is going to be interesting. I have a lot of reading to do, and anyways, yeah, it's going to be a thing. So needless to say, I'm excited. It'll be fun, and we'll go from there. Yes, I know it's part of the British Isles, but again, it's like you said, England. England is not not Britain. They're different, but the same. Anyways, I don't know. It'll be fun. We're kind of excited. We just need to hammer out some details and then get it done. All right. With that said, you know what? Let's get into it. I am exhausted. So we are going to get through as much of this as we can. Um, but regardless, I am I am tired. So let's see what we can get through. All right. The Alternity game is skill based. Although a hero's profession and ability scores are important in determining strengths and weaknesses, skills are the true indicator of what a hero can do in the game. One combat spec loaded with unarmed attack skills might be a martial artist or a professional pugilist, but another could select armor operation and heavy weapons for assaults on the battlefield of the third millennium. The selection of skills distinguishes two heroes with similar ability scores and the same profession as unique individuals. All right. Skill mechanics. Where did that go? There we are. Okay. The core mechanic governs the use of feats and skills. As circumstances warrant, the control die may be modified by a situation die that makes the roll easier or harder, and the target ability score may be modified by the hero's rank in the skill. Um, in the absence of any other modifiers or complications, fall back on these basics and you can't go wrong. Feat checks. Sometimes no skill is appropriate to a situation, and it's logical to use an ability such as strength or constitution. The guideline you should use here is simple. If the action is an example of a general use of the ability and no skill applies, use a feat check instead of a skill check. For feat checks, roll the control die with a base situation die of plus d4. You can modify the situation die to reflect the particulars of the situation. If the dice roll is equal to or less than the character's relevant ability score, success is achieved. Examples of feats include attempts to lift heavy weights with strength, catch a thrown object with dexterity, resist radiation with constitution, solve alien puzzles with intelligence, maintain moral composure with will, or establish a first impression with personality. I'm going to say it again because I have to say it. Calling it a feat check was stupid. It's an ability check or an attribute check or something, but it's not a skill check. Jeez, get with it, people. All right, level of training. Players naturally keep track of their broad and specialty skills that their character or heroes possess and try to make the game decisions that allow their heroes to bring those skills into play. However, an action filled adventure may present the heroes with situations that they can't anticipate. Once you have determined what skill is appropriate for a given situation, you can then compare the character's level of training, untrained, broad skill, and specialty skill. Untrained. If the hero has neither the appropriate specialty skill nor the broad skill, he's considered to be untrained. Sometimes it's the wearing brawler who has to disarm the bomb. Untrained skill checks are difficult, but a chance of success always exists. An untrained skill check is always made using the most appropriate broad skill. In the example above, the wearer needs to make a demolitions check with a plus d4 base situation die. Untrained skill checks are made against half the hero's ability score, rounding down if necessary. If the wearer has an intelligence of 11, she needs to roll a 5 or less to succeed in disarming the bomb. Broad skill. If a hero doesn't have the exact specialty skill in question, he can still fall back on the associated broad skill. For example, a hero might have invested in modern ranged weapons rifle, but if the only weapon at hand is a pistol, skill ranks in rifle don't help at all. The character has to make the attack using the modern ranged weapons broad skill. Using a broad skill when a specialty skill isn't available carries two disadvantages. First, the hero can't use skill ranks to increase his skill score. Broad skills are never modified by skill ranks. The roll for a broad skill is always made against the appropriate ability score. Second, the broad skill's base situation die is plus d4, making it one step more difficult than a specialty skill. A rifleman has to use his unmodified dexterity score with a plus d4 penalty to employ a pistol in combat. It's a good weapon, but not nearly as deadly as his rifle would be. Specialty skill. Having the exact skill that a situation demands is the most favorable condition for both villains and heroes. A high personality score and the deception broad skill count for something, but there's no substitute for the gamble skill. A hero with gamble 4 and a personality of 12 has a skill score of 16. Specialty skills enjoy another significant advantage over broad skills. The base situation die for a specialty skill is a plus D0, one step better than the situation die for a broad skill. All right. Overall, I actually like that. I think it works out really well. The untrained is nice and easy to understand. It's just based on your ability, but versus but just at half the level, or not the level, but half the attribute value. So makes it pretty easy to see that, okay, I can do it, probably not going to do it. Malachi says, I believe feat check may have been taken from phase rip. I don't think so. My guess would be because it's like a feat of strength or a feat of constitution. You know, you're trying to just do something with it. But regardless, when it's skill checks and action checks, and it's always related to exactly what you're doing, to have something else called a feat check that's related to your ability scores just kind of throws it off. So I don't like it. Anyways, back to skill checks. But yeah, I like also the broad skill. I sort of wish that you could improve the broad skills, but it makes sense. Otherwise, there's not really a need to take a specialty, because then you just put all your points into broad, and then every quote unquote specialty comes with it. Obviously, you have the downside of a plus D4 situation die, but not the worst. All right. Prohibited. A few skills are unavailable to any hero who hasn't taken the time and effort to study them. Skills marked in blue in the player's handbook can't be used by untrained characters. For example, while most humans have the vehicle operation broad skill, unless a hero has the space vehicle specialty, he can't even try to pilot a spaceship. You can relax this restriction under certain circumstances. If the untrained character flying the spaceship is in constant communication with a skilled pilot, his friend might be able to talk him through the process, especially during a routine flight. Or if the shuttle has a powerful artificial intelligence for an onboard computer, the AI might be able to tell the untrained pilot how to switch on the automatic functions and keep out of serious trouble. I have no problems with that. It's like, obviously there's always things that you just can't do untrained, but I do like that they threw in the caveat where, you can have somebody who does have the skill walk you through it. So like, you could also even use it in situations where, like, okay, going back to like the Wearin that has to disarm a bomb. Well, maybe the Wearin has to do it because the human, is outside of the room, or their hands are hurt, and so they can't actually do the disarming. Whatever it is, being able to have them walk them through it could even be set up as a good role-playing situation between two different characters. So I like how they gave that out, where even if you don't have the skill, you can still do something. So I like that. All right, complex skill checks. For many tasks and skills, a single dice roll immediately determines whether or not a character succeeds and the degree of success achieved. When jumping across a chasm, shooting a gun, or noticing the hidden ambusher, success or failure is immediately apparent. Other tasks that are more complicated or time-consuming use a complex skill check. Some skills described in both this book and the player's handbook automatically use this method. In addition, you can use complex skill checks to build suspense and tension, even in circumstances that normally use single checks. For example, an important contest of marksmanship or a challenging search may call for multiple successes and multiple rolls. Complex skill checks demand that a number of successes be achieved to complete the task. Depending on the exact task, multiple actions and skill checks add together over the course of several phases, rounds, hours, days, or even weeks. Skill checks are rolled normally, and the results determine the number of successes achieved. An ordinary result counts as 1, good as 2, and amazing counts as 3. Conditions provide situation die modifiers, apply bonuses when the situation is in the character's favor, and penalties when the circumstances warrant a more difficult task or series of tasks. For example, an amazingly difficult situation provides +3 penalty, but an amazingly easy situation provides a -3 bonus. Complexity determines the number of successes required to complete the job. Marginal tasks are the least complex, and amazing tasks the most complex. 3 strikes rule. Like single checks, complex skill checks allow the possibility of failure, while ordinary, good, and amazing results add a number of successes. A failure result adds no successes. A failure result indicates that no progress was made. Character can continue to work on the task during later actions. If a character rolls 3 failure results during a complex skill check, the attempt is ruined. The task is simply beyond the character's ability until conditions change. New equipment becomes available, the hero improves his skill rank, or an expert offers assistance. Of course, you can decide that it's impossible to fail and allow the hero to try again. I remember reading this under the player's handbook. I actually do really like that rule. Um, there has to be some sort of a timer if you're going to be doing a complex skill check. I like that they're there. I like that it's like, okay, there's going to be that building tension, but there needs to be that block of, okay, you have to finish it in an hour, or the 3 strikes and you're out. Something went sideways and you can't do it. So I actually do like that. Critical failure. A roll of 20 on the control die brings trouble to the acting character. Depending on the particulars of the situation, you can assign any of the following outcomes as a result of a critical failure. Disaster. Some harmful event related to the action is set off. Important files are erased, alarms are triggered, or equipment is damaged. Start over. The significant mistake erases all accumulated successes, and the complex skill check begins again. Vain effort. The lethal mistake ends the complex skill check in failure, and the action can't be attempted again until conditions change. Overlooked skills. The hero sheet is a useful tool for players and game masters. It provides a listing of every skill the hero has spent points on, summing up the character's training and expertise at a glance. This can be somewhat deceptive, though. Often, players have more options at their disposal than they think they do. Innate skills. The first group of skills that players overlook are the hero's innate skills, the species defaults that every character has. See table P4 in the player's handbook. So, yeah, that's a big thing that you should not forget. I mean, they automatically give every species 6 skills, one associated with each attribute. So there's always something that theoretically you should be able to do, and there you get to take them as just automatic broad skills for your character. Speaking of broad skills, it's also easy to forget the scope of a broad skill. While a hero may purchase the business broad skill in order to gain knowledge of the corporate specialty skill, the broad skill also provides the ability to use small business or illicit business specialty skills with a +D4 base situation die. The broad skill assumes a basic knowledge of each and its specialty skills. The only specialty skills that can't be duplicated by using the parent broad skill are the prohibited skills marked in blue in the skill list. So again, anything that can't be done untrained. Speaking of untrained skills, the final batch of skills that most players tend to forget is every other skill on the list. Heroes can try to use a great number of skills at their untrained scores. A character who knows nothing about repair can still try to fix something. It's just tougher for that hero. Unless the skill is prohibited, any hero can take a shot at it. Here's a short list of some of the more common broad skills heroes might try to use despite a lack of training during the course of an adventure. All right. Any combat skill, melee weapons, unarmed attack, heavy weapons, and ranged weapons. Movement, survival, acrobatics, manipulation, stealth, any intelligence-based broad skill, investigate, resolve, culture, deception, and leadership. As heroes rise in experience, they acquire a wide variety of skills. The first thing a player does when his hero is confronted with a situation is examine his record sheet to find out which of his skills is appropriate. If the player can come up with a way to make it work and explain it rationally to you, let him try. Uh, oh, I missed something. I love when I don't realize the column is still going. All right. Skill rank benefits. As characters advance and purchase additional skill ranks, certain skills provide special skill rank benefits. For many skills, this is simply a bonus applied to skill checks that allows for a more dramatic increase in the likelihood of success. Skill rank benefits may also apply as a bonus to a hero's resistance modifier, as in case of acrobatics dodge and knowledge deduce. A second type of skill rank benefit appears in a few skills, such as melee attack and other combat skills. Achieving high ranks in one of these skills may allow a hero to make use of the skill in new ways, performing tasks like a double shot. Other examples include cyber surgery, trick writing, and coding new programs. Purchasing skill rank benefits. Usually, a hero acquires a skill rank benefit automatically. When a certain skill rank is achieved, the rank benefit is obtained. There is no cost other than the purchasing of the skill that rank itself. For the skill rank benefit, it's also possible to purchase certain skill rank benefits before attaining the skill rank at which the benefits would be automatically attained. The procedure and cost for purchasing rank benefits early is described on page 63 in the player's handbook. Um, Typically, this is only possible with the second type of rank benefits, as described above, benefits that allow a new task or action. Heroes should not be allowed to purchase rank benefits marked with an X symbol. As is the case whenever one of your players decides to spend skill points, you have the right to concern yourself with how they are spent. If you don't want to allow a rank benefit to be purchased in advance, be sure to inform your players before they begin planning. Strength feats and skills. All right, so this is where we're going to skip over a bunch because I'm not going to read over all of the skills. I do want to cover just kind of like some of these general information topics, but we're not going to read all the skills. We'll kind of skip over. If there's something that you would like to see more of, let me know and I can go back and read it. All right. Strength measures physical power, efficiency, confidence, and resilience. Strength feats measure bursts of raw power, like breaking down a door, resisting something that knocks the hero down, or lifting a heavy object. Breaking things. You can simply use your common sense to decide if something would stand up to the punishment the heroes are dishing out, or you can track the damage inflicted by the heroes. Another option is to allow a hero a strength feat check to break, smash, or snap an object that a human could reasonably break. If you choose the strength feat check, refer to table G21, breaking objects, and apply modifiers for both toughness and durability. Toughness describes how hard it is to damage something, while durability is a measure of how much damage the object can withstand before breaking. Things such as normal doors, furniture, instruments, and appliances have ordinary toughness. Heavy, thick, or reinforced objects such as guns, cars, or cash registers have good toughness, and exceptionally resistant items such as tanks, vaults, or boulders have amazing toughness. Use common sense when allowing the characters to break things. A character might be able to snap the radio antenna off a tank, but he can't harm the tank no matter what he rolls. So just remember that the toughness value essentially like reduces any successes that you're going to get, or just completely eliminate most of them. So but I like this point of just use common sense, because, at the end of the day, you're the game master. So, if they're trying to do something stupid, shut it down. All right, lifting objects. A second use of a strength feat check is to lift or shove something heavy. As a rule, a hero can lift an object weighing up to 5 times his strength in kilograms as a marginal feat, 10 times as a slight feat, 15 times as a moderate feat, or 20 times as an extreme feat. This is a squat or short hoist of some kind, instead of an over-the-head press. More demanding lifts might be harder. A hero attempting a clean and jerk might suffer an additional +2 penalty to reflect the difficulty of the lift. Heavy lifts are taxing. You may require characters making heavy lifts to make fatigue checks. All right. Now it gets into the skills. So we went over pretty much all of these. Yeah, we went through the skills basically got covered in the player's handbook. So yeah, we're just gonna cover like the raw abilities. All right. Dexterity, feats, and skills. Dexterity defines the hero's agility, hand-eye coordination, balance, and reaction speed. Feats of dexterity are used to determine how well the hero performs in general tests of coordination or agility, such as catching a thrown object, handling a piece of extremely delicate work, or suddenly changing direction. Okay. Let's see here. I'm just checking if there's any sidebars that I should have used or read. Sorry. Actually, let's look at this. When skills and feats overlap, sometimes a character seems to have 2 ways to accomplish a task. Should a hero use a specific athletic skill to catch the thrown object, or is such an action a dexterity feat? Does an expert biologist trying to get information out of a database rely on his computer science skill or his life science biology specialty? In such a case, when only one skill or another can be used, you can dictate which skill or ability is relevant and have the hero make a check against the appropriate score. In other cases, a hero may have more than one skill that applies, and it's a combination of those skills that determines how well he succeeds. For example, a gymnast may use acrobatics and entertainment simultaneously. A spy may combine culture and interaction. A thug uses street smart and deception in combination. You can reward such a skilled character by allowing both skills to be used in a single action. Let the character decide which skill is primary and which is secondary. Then the character makes a skill check using the secondary skill. A successful result provides a -1, -2, or -3 bonus to the primary skill check. No benefits are provided by a failure result. Both skill checks occur at the same time. They constitute a single action and don't follow the rules for 2 actions detailed in Chapter 3. I would disagree with that. I mean, obviously that's one way you could do it. Honestly, I would just, as the game master, I would just make a ruling. Depending on obviously, just depending on the situation, which skill is considered secondary. I would look at, just applying a flat bonus based on the fact that, okay, you have 2 skills, they're both relevant. Okay, fine, you get, -2 steps because you're applying both of your skills towards this. I would do that just more in the interest of saving some time. Um, you know, also, I don't like the no benefits are provided by a failure result. It's like the skill applies, so it's not like your knowledge went out the window. So I just apply it as a bonus, and let it go that way. Again, my personal decision. All right. So again, a whole bunch of skills that we already looked at last time. So, all right. Constitution feats and skills. Constitution feats are used to resist hazards such as fire, lightning, or poison. The result of a Constitution feat check determines how much damage a character exposed to a hazard suffers. From our complete rules and examples of hazards, refer to hazards in Chapter 3, also known as last week. Let's see. Intelligence feats and skills. An intelligence feat check may be used as a measure of the hero's reasoning ability in an abstract situation, such as assembling a puzzle or solving a maze. The complexity of the puzzle, maze, or leap of reasoning required may add bonuses or penalties to the intelligence feat check. Tests of memory and learning should be rolls against the hero's knowledge skill. It's a good measurement of how much a hero knows. Keep an eye out for fields of knowledge that a hero may have special expertise in. If you're trying to see if the hero knows anything about nuclear reactors, it might be more appropriate to have the player roll against his character's physical science or technical science skills instead of knowledge. If the character doesn't have either of these skills, there's no reason you can't have him roll an untrained skill check against one of these instead of knowledge. The list of intelligence skills in the player's handbook can't be considered to be comprehensive of all knowledge that humans and aliens can accumulate. Individual campaign settings may demand different skills. Feel free to add new specialty skills to the broad skills listed and even create new broad skills. Agree completely. Yeah, and that's one of those things to think about, like with specialties, like don't be afraid to think outside the box, especially if your player is trying to do something. That's reasonable. I'm not talking like they're trying to, game the system, but if they come up with a good reason for a new specialty or something, yeah, like let them create it. I have no issues with that. I mean, the only real downside is any like the skill rank bonuses. Maybe you don't have any of those, but again, it's still an option. All right, so then there's all of the skills and specialties there. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more for intelligence skills. All right. Will feats and skills. Will feats are uncommon. Tests of willpower are part of the resolve skill. There are only a few instances when a will feat check is the best approach. Tests of character reading, moral judgment, or emotional stability are examples. Feats of leering are absolutely a specialty skill, Malachi. You got to be in the right place at the right time in order to do those. All right. All right. So willpower goes towards administration, animal handling, creativity, awareness, investigate, street smart, resolve. So there's actually still a lot of skills associated with willpower. So that's interesting. All right. Personality feats and skills. Personality feats are moderately uncommon. Skills exist to handle most forms of interaction between characters. General dealing with people uses interaction. Tests of etiquette and breeding fall under culture. Fiery and impassioned speeches are handled with leadership. Swindles and cons belong in deception. If a hero simply asks a friend for a favor rather than attempting to persuade or manipulate, a personality feat check is perhaps the best measure of success. A feat check could also be a measure of what a supporting character thinks of a hero who hasn't tried to employ encounter skills on him. How much loyalty does the ally or the employee feel for the hero? The hero's own actions should be the primary gauge, but if the players haven't said much about how they're treating them, supporting characters around them, a personality feat check is a reasonable way to find out what kind of impression they've left. There's no definite way to measure just how lucky a hero is, but a personality feat check is a close approximation. On occasions when you don't know if the villain drops a rope off the cliff where a hero desperately clings to life, allow the hero a personality feat check to see if the rope happens to land nearby. What? What? I don't understand that situation that they presented. I mean, I guess if your hero was able to impress the villain such that they don't want the character to die. I mean, okay, so it's kind of a Princess Bride reference, but even then, I don't know. That's some odd wording. I don't like that. All right. Then obviously we've got the list of skills. Let's see. All right. Personality skills versus heroes. Sometimes the villain uses a soft voice instead of a firearm. Deception or interaction skills are used against heroes. What happens then? The best thing to do is allow the players to roleplay freely. Players can't be coerced into choosing to turn on their friends, walk into obvious traps, or completely ignore their common sense and ethics. But if a player believes that his hero might fall for it and he's willing to roleplay his character accordingly, this is the best way to handle personality skills used against the heroes. If the player isn't willing to role play a situation that could cloud his hero's judgment, you can allow the supporting character a normal skill check and apply the results from table P25. While the player retains control, the hero suffers penalties when he attempts actions that run counter to the charming character's interests. Apply the bonuses listed under attitude modifiers as penalties to such actions. For actions and decisions that don't involve a skill check, ask the hero to attempt a will feat check, including the modifier for how charmed he is. The result of the check determines how willing the hero is to act against the interest of the character who has charmed him. For example, the hero might know that he really ought to take the seductive spy into custody, but when she asks him to let her off the hook just this once, allow the hero a will feat check to see if he resists her. Actually, I like all those descriptions. That was good. All right, so that's chapter 4, skills. Yes, I realize I skipped over a lot of the skills. We did cover them in the skills chapter for the player's handbook, so I'm gonna absolutely recommend that you go check that out. Um, mostly in the interest of time. I there's a lot of book to get through, and as I said at the beginning, there are going to be interruptions in the next couple of weeks, so we want to get through these. All right, chapter 5, perks and flaws. Perks and flaws offer special benefits or bonus skill points for good character concepts. Each perk and flaw provides one extra handle for a skilled player to use in bringing his character to life. No one remembers the combat specialist who plunges into battle. That's what combat specs are for. But everyone remembers the combat spec who enjoys galaxy wide fame and free agent who's continually bothered by his lifelong nemesis. All right, selecting perks and flaws. In the player's handbook, a limit of 3 perks and 3 flaws per character is established. Play balance may become difficult to maintain when characters purchase many perks in combination. In addition, a character with too many special benefits or disadvantages may dilute the concept that led to his creation. Finally, it could be a challenge to simply remember the numerous advantages and disadvantages. Naturally, you have the final say in both how many perks and flaws are available to heroes and which perks or flaws are acceptable in your game. If you're running a Stone Age campaign, it doesn't make sense that a player could choose primitive as a flaw for his hero. Everybody's primitive, so it's not a disadvantage. You might also want to disallow perks that provide game advantages that won't work in your campaign. For example, Alien Artifact may be inappropriate for a campaign set in the present day, or any campaign that doesn't leave planet Earth. Or it could be a really cool perk to have an alien artifact in modern day, because aliens. All right. New perks and flaws. Dozens of good ideas for additional perks and flaws remain for you to add to your campaign. Keep a few rules in mind. In general, perks should not add more than a -2 bonus to one particular role or type of role. For example, an eagle-eyed hero might gain a -2 bonus to awareness perception checks. Be careful with powerful perks. You might actually be wandering into character abilities better covered under the psionic, cybertech, or mutant rules. Take a look at your new perk as if you were putting together a character. If you would select it without hesitation because it seemed to be the most desirable perk available, it might be a little too good. The same rules apply for flaws. Most flaws shouldn't give more than a +2 penalty to one type of check or skill on a permanent basis. Remember, if your players pick the flaw because it doesn't hurt them, you're giving them free skill points. And if they never choose the flaw, then you wasted your time designing it. Keep in mind when designing both flaws and perks that the point of this benefit system isn't to make characters more powerful, but to make them unique and more interesting to play. A well designed perk is one that adds distinctiveness to a character's concept. Acquiring new perks. Um, a hero may decide to purchase a new perk as an achievement benefit when he reaches a high enough level. No matter how many points the character has available, the limitation of 3 perks still applies. If a hero begins play with 3 perks, it becomes impossible to acquire another later. On rare occasions, you may assign a new perk to a hero to reward exceptional role playing or reflect developments in the game. A hero might acquire a reputation or become a celebrity through the growth of the campaign and his own successes. See Chapter 8 for more information. Getting rid of flaws. Buying off an old flaw is another available achievement benefit. When a flaw is eliminated in this manner, the hero retains any bonus skill points received during character generation. You may also strike a flaw from a hero if you feel that it isn't being roleplayed properly. For example, if a dirt poor hero suddenly becomes wealthy in the company of all his filthy rich friends, and the player doesn't want to continue playing this flaw, you can just say that the hero lost his flaw. However, when you do this, you should withhold achievement points to make up for the fact that the hero just got a break. Um, See Chapter 8 for details on withholding achievement points. Obviously, we will get there. Perks and flaws in play. While many of the listed perks and flaws are self explanatory, you may need to exercise some judgment and initiative in order to make others work for you. The first step is to remember that perks and flaws are part of a hero. If you never have a player roll a flaw check for his hero's temper, the flaw might as well not exist. One good technique is to note one situation per adventure in which a hero's perk or flaw might come up. For instance, you might decide that a particular supporting character is likely to be impressed by a hero with great looks or repelled by a hero with poor looks. Plan this ahead of time and keep it with your notes for the adventure. Perk and flaw mechanics. Perks fall into 2 general types, active and conscious. Active perks don't require skill checks or feat checks. They provide a permanent modifier or benefit. For example, ambidextrous and heightened ability provide benefits anytime the right situation applies. Conscious perks only come into play when a hero makes a determined attempt to bring his perk to bear. Conscious perks generally require a perk check, which operates like a feat check, plus D4 base situation die, using the hero's appropriate ability score. For example, since concentration is a conscious intelligence based perk, a hero must make a check against his intelligence score with a plus D4 situation die in order to bring it into play. You can assign modifiers to the use of a conscious perk, especially if the hero is trying it in an appropriate or inappropriate situation. For example, trying to use celebrity on a backwater world might inflict a +3 or +4 penalty to the hero's perk check. All flaws are considered active. Some flaws have no effect until triggered. For example, a hero with a phobia suffers no effects until he is confronted by whatever he is afraid of. If you have a number of heroes in the game with flaws that must be triggered, jot down a reminder in order to keep track of which hero's flaws are likely to turn up. It would be a shame if you forgot to take advantage of that hero's phobia in a crucial spot of the adventure. All right. I have a feeling we're going to skip a lot of the perks as well. Let's see. Perks. If any of perk doesn't fit your campaign or provides an ability that you don't want heroes to have, you may disallow it. Work with a player to devise a perk suitable for both his hero and your story. All right. Okay. So now they bring back in all of the perks. So we've got alien artifact, ambidextrous, animal friend, celebrity, concentration, danger sense, um, Faith, filthy rich, great looks, heightened ability, observant, photo memory, powerful ally, fists of iron, fortitude, good luck, psionic awareness, willpower, reflexes, reputation, tough as nails, and vigor. And then for our flaws, again, the alien artifact, bad luck, code of honor, clumsy, delicate, clueless, dirt poor, oblivious, obsessed, forgetful, old injury, primitive, fragile, infamy, phobia, slow, spineless, temper, poor looks, and powerful enemy. All right. That gets us through chapter 5. Yes, I realize I didn't read all of those. We actually went over most of this again under the player's handbook, and it looks like these just got copy and pasted over. So I'm not going to read through that again. So, with that said, that's what I wanted to get through today. Good morning, Glenn. I hate to do this to you, buddy, since you just got here, but unfortunately, you're gonna have to watch this on the replay. I am absolutely exhausted. I have basically been up since about this time yesterday, and I am wanting to pass out. So, we're gonna end it here today, but we'll come back tomorrow and let's see. We're gonna do chapter 6. Um 6 and maybe 7. So supporting cast and attributes. So, just as a reminder, tonight we'll be back. Kim and I will be covering Batman from Monolith Games. We are going, I'll be back tomorrow and Thursday. I'm still trying to get other videos done. But as I said at the beginning, we're at like a 75% chance that the wife and I are going to England, or not England. See what you did, Malachi? We're going to Ireland next week, in the middle of the week, and we'll be back the middle of the following week. So it's absolutely going to interrupt and get in the way of live streams and things that I have planned. But that'll just be an interruption. I will absolutely come back and get back into the swing of it. Other than that, just hit the like button. I appreciate all of you being here. Subscribe if you're new here. Having fun. This is going to be an ongoing series, except for when I'm out of town. And we'll go from there. So thank you so much for watching, everybody. I'm going to go get some sleep, and you all have a great day. Thanks for watching.